go. All right. I think that's working now. Let's go. Hello, hello, hello. Let's get this all started. Hello, all right, guys. We are doing the June Health Q&A, and thank you all for joining me. Hey, everybody. Thanks for dropping in. We are going to cover as many of your questions today as possible. And gosh, so much has happened. Oh, Liz, so good to see you. Hey, Liz. So much has happened since we did our last live. What was it? Exactly a month ago. We've come out with our new chocolate formulation, and so people have been experiencing that all over the place. And I have to say, the feedback has been better than I could have ever imagined or hoped for. It's been so positive. People who have loved the other chocolate for years, I was like a little bit nervous because after you've had one product in the market for 10 years, changing it up and doing something totally different is a little bit of a risk. But people have loved the new one even more than the chocolate that we had before. So that's been just spectacular to see. And let me get some of these questions pulled up. And as we're going through this, guys, feel free to send in any questions in the comments, and we will try to cover as many of them as humanly possible. And if you guys have tried the new chocolate, by the way, let me know down in the comments what your thoughts on it have been and what your experience with it has been like. I hope you've been enjoying it just as much as everybody else out there. All right, bear with me 1 second while I get these questions pulled up. Okay, so let's see here. All right, the first question, and a couple of these actually got sent in from last time, and we missed them. They got sent in by email just before our last live stream, and I didn't catch them in time. The first question is pretty funny, and it's actually pretty cool at the same time. So the first question is, hold on, is there a maximum amount per day of the roselle hibiscus and schizandra? Because I, this person asking the question, use half a teaspoon of each and use it in a bottle and make a cool pink elixir that helps her skin and her energy. With everything, there's going to be a maximum amount. With even something as basic and easy as water, there's going to be an amount of healthy water drinking that turns then into too much water drinking. It's with anything, right? If you have the right amount of water a day, it's great. If you have 10 gallons of water a day, if you go to a radically too high of a dose, okay, now you're going to start experiencing some negative effects. So that is not so recommended. With these, I would say that doing half a teaspoon of each of the roselle hibiscus and schizandra a day is great. You could even do that spread out into 2 doses. You could have one in the morning and one in the evening. I think you're really within a safe and sweet zone there, so I wouldn't stress too much. I think that's a really nice balanced dose that you're at with half a teaspoon, and you can even double that up. Hibiscus and schizandra is a great combo, especially for great hydration now that we're going into the summertime. During the summertime, you tend to expend a lot more energy. The heat, you're struggling, you get exhausted more easily. Schizandra is a great herb in this regard. It's beautifying, but it also is what's called a Jing locking herb, meaning it helps to lock in your core kidney adrenal energy and stop you from expending excessive amounts of energy to the point where you're at risk of becoming exhausted. So Schizandra is an amazing herb. Beauty, liver, it's also a great liver detoxifier. So Schizandra supports both stage 1 and stage 2 liver detoxification. So it's a fantastic one in that regard as well. And roselle is great for blood sugar balance, for immune balance. It's overall really good for cholesterol balance as well. And these two together, it's like the ultimate. What would be a great pink? It's like you could make a great pink lemonade with these, of course, but I would also say it's kind of like a pink energy drink, really. They're such an incredible herb. Schizandra is a 3 treasure herb in the Taoist system. It supports stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 liver detoxification. So hello to everybody who's dropping in here. So good to see all of you. I'm really grateful for you joining us today. If you have any questions, whether it's related to health, supplements, herbalism, nutrition, even business questions, we can get into that department too, and to entrepreneurship, let me know, send in your questions, and we're going to have a great party here today. Now, the next question is, what can be used for lowering cortisol? Cortisol is the stress hormone, and it's something that you don't want too much of and you don't want too little of. If you push too hard for too long, then you end up in a situation where your cortisol gets too low. And that is really not a good thing to have either. Let me just check one thing here. All right. So with the cortisol, we want to look to stress reducing herbs. And these aren't necessarily herbs that are going to put you to sleep, but they're intended to be herbs that are going to make you feel more peaceful and improve your overall stress resilience, so you're not constantly having to secrete that cortisol, that stress hormone, to keep you going every single day. So here, for example, we are going to look at reishi mushroom as being my personal favorite. Reishi brings down stress, brings down anxiety, makes you feel more peaceful. It supports you on the immune front, it supports you on the energy front, and it really helps with that overall cortisol regulation and that emotional resilience, not to get thrown off by all the crazy little things that can happen throughout the day. Then I would also look at ashwagandha as being kind of the strongest in the Ayurvedic department, up there with holy basil, I would say. So ashwagandha, again, great at bringing down stress and anxiety. It's not a sedative, though. It's going to help also improve your energy and endurance, but it helps so much with regulating your overall emotional state and keeping you more balanced. And then I would also suggest, as I mentioned, holy basil being something that you can take. And the only people who shouldn't take this is if you're a guy trying to get a woman pregnant. Holy basil can actually lower your sperm count potentially. So not for you right now, but overall, holy basil for stress regulation is a great thing to be adding in. Then you can look also towards, for example, Hoshu Wu. This is spelled He space Shou space Wu. And Hoshu Wu is what's called a yin jing tonic. This is in the Taoist herbal system, an herb that's going to replenish your jing, your core kidney adrenal essence. It's like recharging your reserve battery pack. It's putting more money in your energy savings account. And that, if you're dealing with cortisol regulation issues, is going to be very helpful. And then overall, work on improving your sleep. We all know that if you haven't had a good night's sleep, you are much more emotionally unstable. You're much more likely to freak out about things when you shouldn't, and you're much more likely just to overreact and not be at your best overall as a human. So focus on getting really good sleep. Turn off your devices as it's getting later in the evening, or at least turn them on to red screen. And we have tutorials on our YouTube channel on how to do that. It's actually become one of our most viewed all-time TikTok videos. So I love how people are seeing how if you get that blue light off your screen at night, you can still be on your phone, do whatever you need to do, text people, whatever it is, and not get that melatonin suppression that comes with blue light exposure in the evening. And then think about having a good bedtime routine, not doing things that are very stimulating for you in the evenings, and using herbs like reishi, like Hoshu Wu, like ashwagandha to help you wind down. Maybe having a breathwork practice or a breathing practice in the evening, or doing some meditation or yoga in the evenings to wind down, or doing some NSDR, non-sleep deep rest. There's many YouTube tutorials on this. The more traditional name would be Yoga Nidra, but it's becoming so popular as NSDR these days, so I'll throw in that name there as well. And then when you're going to be going to sleep as well, you can think about things that are going to keep your blood sugar balanced at night. So you can think about, for example, having a couple kiwis before going to bed, having a teaspoon or two of honey before going to bed. And these can really help improve your sleep quality. And with better sleep comes better cortisol regulation throughout the next day. All right, next question is...
I'm late to the party.
Oh, Ana Blanca is joining the party here. Fantastic.
Because I think you need a producer and someone who keeps
I need
interrupting
production help over here.
So which one would you like me to go in?
You can join anywhere you want.
No. You tell me which one would you prefer?
YouTube.
All right.
So the next question is, the lady has an early cataract, and is there an herb that helps with the eyes? And she understands that I can't give medical advice. I'm not a doctor, not an optometrist of any kind. I'm just sharing information that I've learned through my explorations that I think you might find interesting purely from an intellectual perspective. And so here I would certainly go to Schisandra. And second place would be goji berry as the top two herbs for eye health. And then after that, I would also throw in as a supplement astaxanthin. It's a red algae pigment that has a whole array of health benefits, from being anti-inflammatory to help protecting from damage from exposure to the sun. Help actually stops you from being sunburnt to a certain degree, which is pretty amazing. And then also with this, I would say, yeah. So sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. So with astaxanthin, the reason I brought it up is because it's amazing for eyesight. So even a small amount has been found taken daily to stop macular degeneration from progressing. And in this department dealing with cataracts, as an overall anti-inflammatory that's going to be affecting the eyes, I think this is a great place to be going.
Oops,
Sorry?
nothing.
Okay. So next question, and you guys, if you're here, you're watching, I know you have a burning question that you want to ask. Go ahead and send it in. This is your chance. We won't be doing this again for another month or maybe even longer. So take advantage of this opportunity. We're here to connect. And if you've tried our new chocolate recipe since it's come out, let me know that as well. I'm curious to know what your thoughts on it are. All right. Now, what are the best supplements to take for slow COMT? Now, what the heck is COMT? This, for me, is a gene that I have as well, and it's cool to know that the person who sent it in has it as well. I kind of suspected that he might have it, knowing him, but it's always cool to hear what people learn from their genetic tests. The COMT gene, and the particular version that I have of it, the COMT++, which is known as slow COMT, is the one thing about my health and about my genetics especially that I found to totally define my existence in life and who I am as a person and why I am the way I am. And this is a gene that I've been really optimizing for in my own health for around 10 or 11 years. And I've been talking about it so much. And the funny thing is, nobody ever really cared when I was talking about it. It wasn't something that people took a lot of interest in until this cool guy, Dr. Gary Brecka, went on Joe Rogan and started talking about COMT. And now suddenly the YouTube videos that I put up about the COMT gene like 6 and 7 years ago are suddenly blowing up and now are becoming our most popular videos. So yes, I am trying to show off and saying I was talking about it before anybody else was. But more importantly, I'm just glad that people are learning about these things and how to optimize for their genetics. And, you know, sometimes the way it works on YouTube is you make a video and nobody cares about it for a couple of years. And then a few years later, suddenly people are ready for it. And that's just life. I don't mind at all. So with a slow COMT, this is something I live with, and it can be a blessing and a curse, I would say. So first I want to explain what it is and how it works. You have a gene called the COMT gene, and there's basically 3 versions. You have plus plus, plus minus, or minus plus, very similar, and then minus minus. So this is called the warrior and the warrior gene. I'm the warrior. If you have the minus minus, you're the warrior. They're overly generalized terms, I think, but if you have the COMT++, the warrior, it means that you produce certain neurotransmitters, dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, just like a normal person. However, you don't get rid of them at the same rate. So imagine you have the on-ramp onto your freeway is normal, but you got like 3 lanes on the on-ramp, but the off-ramp has just 1 lane. And so there's not enough room for these cars to get off and you end up with a traffic jam. The result of this is that you end up with the blessing of higher frontal lobe function. So this is where you have your executive function. It's where you control what you say and what you don't. It's your filter, basically. So it's pretty rare for me to let something slip, so to speak. I'm pretty calculated with things that I say. And this also allows you to focus more. It allows you to learn things sometimes even faster because of that focus. The downside is that if you push too hard and take advantage of this performance too much, that over time you can get really burnt out. And I mean burnt out to the point of having neurodegenerative diseases. You can end up with bipolar. You can end up with Parkinson's. You can end up with schizophrenia. And I don't want any of that. So I'm really on top of taking care of this. And then, of course, the opposite would be that somebody has lower frontal lobe function. They are letting things slip all the time. They don't tend to get as stressed, though. They tend to be a little bit more happy-go-lucky. And for a person like me, you see a person like that and say, I don't think you're taking things seriously enough here. Whereas they say, why are you taking everything so serious? And so in my shoes, what I do is magnesium. That is number one, is magnesium every day. For me, it's best in the form of magnesium glycinate. I also take in the evenings magnesium L-threonate, but magnesium glycinate is my go-to as one that is very highly absorbed. It doesn't cause any gastrointestinal disturbances, so it's not going to have you sitting on the toilet for the entire day. And with magnesium glycinate as well, it's magnesium glycinate. The glycinate means that you have glycine in there, which is an amino acid that's also very calming. The whole thing here is you're trying to decrease your tension and your stress and your over-fixation on things and your over-rumination in the mind. For COMT, some people describe it as not being able to detoxify thought. You just start thinking and thinking and thinking, and it's hard to stop sometimes. And so that's kind of the downside of this gene. Now, what else can you do? Well, let's talk about herbs that are going to decrease that tension. Reishi mushroom, my favorite. Ashwagandha, another favorite. Holy basil, another fantastic one in this category. Of course, you want to support overall methylation. Taking good B vitamins, especially methylated B12, is a really important one to be taking. And then I would also say just make sure you're not pushing yourself too hard in life. Make sure you're not pushing yourself to the point where you're at risk of burning out. You have this very powerful tool. Don't overuse it because it's not going to work out very well for you in the long run. And watch out for caffeine. Caffeine increases your production of these neurotransmitters. So now instead of having 3 lanes going on your on-ramp of these, now you've just widened it out to 6 lanes, yet you still have just 1 lane on the off-ramp. So now you're taking your traffic jam to a whole new level. What happens here is now you have all these neurotransmitters sitting around that you can't get rid of fast enough. And because of that, they end up becoming basically irritants to your nervous system. And this is magnified in my case because I'm also a slow metabolizer of caffeine. So that caffeine stays around extra long and produces even more neurotransmitters. So as a result of this, I cannot touch caffeine. The tiny, tiny amount that's in chocolate is fine, but I can't touch green tea. I can't touch matcha. I can't touch coffee. I can't touch yerba mate. But thank goodness that I can enjoy chocolate.
I will have all the matcha that we make.
Ana Blanca
But
gets
I have your matcha too. That's my favorite product of our company, the matcha elixir blend.
Yeah, Ana Blanca goes wild on the matcha. And you can imagine.
Our matcha. I only like our matcha.
Yes, that's what I meant, the matcha that we produce and sell.
Elixir blend.
You can imagine it was tricky for me to formulate that matcha drink because I could only taste like the tiniest little sips, and that was it. So I have somebody requesting to join the video. I don't know if they mean to or not, but let me know if you actually want to join and ask a question, which is totally cool. But sometimes people want to join and it's by accident. So yourrelease.day, let me know if you actually want to join the party, and I'll add you in. If not, no worries. If you have a question, just send it in down in the comments.
It's in Instagram.
Yep, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking at her.
All right. Let's see. So then with COMT, yes, stay away from caffeine. It's an absolute danger and something that, well, here's the thing. You're going to have caffeine and you're going to feel on top of the world because in the short term, when you have all those neurotransmitters firing, it feels epic. You feel just like unbelievably positive. Oh, Junpei! Just as I say unbelievably positive, the most unbelievably positive person ever has joined the live stream. Junpei, you are the best. We miss you. Junpei, can you request to be added to the live stream? I would love just to have you jump in and join the party here for a second, if you're up for it. I don't know if you're in a place where you can, but it'd be awesome to see you. Junpei worked with us in the early days of our company, and he is now graduated on to a whole new level in life. He's dominating as a realtor down in San Diego. He's just a legend of a human being. We love him so much. So with COMT, yeah, watch out for the caffeine because you're going to feel epic day of, and then later it's going to take you down. And for me, that manifests in the short to medium term in the form of just feeling really sad, really just like dead inside for days afterwards after having caffeine. So watch out for that. And guys, if you have any questions, send them down in the comments. That's what we're here for. Okay, let's see here. Hold on. Oh, Junpei's going to join the party. All right. Okay. Okay, next question coming in is, oh, it's Junpei! Junpei! Addictive Wellness employee number 1 joining the party.
This is hilarious.
Oh, man, how are you doing?
Pretty
Good. Okay, I have a surprise question for you. And just so you guys know, this is totally not planned. We're just going with the flow here. Junpei, what is your favorite adaptogen or supplement?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Mm, I've been really loving cordyceps for sure for my exercise. But also I love the turkey tail.
Yeah.
I also love ashwagandha, but if I take too much ashwagandha, I feel like I took too much coffee and I get jittery.
Wow. Wow.
Um, so yeah, these are my three tops right now, actually.
Ah, super cool.
Wow, I feel so honored to be in this video for a few seconds.
Oh, you're a legend, man. Oh, I'm gonna jump on to the next question here. Feel free to hang, or if you got your day to go about, I don't want to hold you up, but dude, it's so good to see you.
Good to you too.
Awesome.
Sweet.
All right, Junpei, sending big hugs your way.
You too.
See ya.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so the next question is coming in the chat. What can I take for hair falling out or thinning? I'm 54 years old. So, as your hormones go down and down and down, you are going to experience less hair staying in your head because it's those higher level of hormones that keep those follicles active and hold that hair in. So, what can you do? You could look at going the route of doing hormone replacement therapy with bioidentical hormones. Not everybody wants to go that route, but it may be something worth considering. If you're doing that, you want to do it in a way that involves very frequent and thorough testing to monitor how those hormones are being metabolized in your body because of different genetics. Some people will take, say, estrogen that they're taking bioidentically, and they'll metabolize it safely. And some will metabolize the estrogen into very harmful estrogens that can raise risk significantly for breast cancer. And I've seen this happen in my own family, and it's horrendous. And some doctors, unfortunately, are not on top of that testing enough to see how these hormones are being metabolized. So if you're going to do bioidentical hormones, you have to push the doctor or find a doctor who already does full testing to see hormone metabolites. And so things in this regard can really help. Then also for hair, I would look towards Hoshu Wu. This is what this herb has been known in legend and history for, is supporting hair growth. Also, ashwagandha and reishi. Reishi helps to stop testosterone from converting to DHT. DHT is a stronger form of an androgen, but the downside of DHT is that it can kind of burn out your hair follicles and lead to balding effectively. So those, and then I would also look into supplementally silica and drinking horsetail and nettle tea as being a very effective way of getting those in from a whole food source. Ana Blanca makes a great point here as well. Check your thyroid levels. Get a full thyroid panel done. And the reason here is that often a doctor will just look at TSH alone and not check T3, not check T4, not check reverse T3, not check thyroid peroxidase antibodies to see if you have some issues going on there. Oh, Junpei, by the way, is coming back in the chat. Junpei, you are such a legend. And he's reminding me that they eat seaweed for hair in Japan. Super mineral rich, great source of iodine. Therefore, going to be supporting the thyroid that we're talking about now. So, Junpei, you are spot on. I kicked you out of the video too early, man. You should have hung around for this question. I feel like a dummy for saying goodbye too early. Anyways, with the thyroid, you have to have a full thyroid panel done and work with a doctor who understands the more precise, optimized ranges of thyroid hormones that you want to be looking for in this test. Many doctors will look and they'll look and see your result on that test paper, and then they'll see what the laboratory shows as the healthy relevant range. And if you're within that range, they'll say, I don't care how many symptoms you're experiencing of an underactive thyroid. I see in the numbers here, your thyroid is just fine. You are imagining it. And it's so annoying when doctors do that, isn't it? It's just like the number of people who don't get underactive thyroid properly diagnosed because the doctor takes that approach. It's absurd and it's cruel and it's wrong. In any case, you want to find a doctor who understands the narrower ranges within those normal relevant ranges, which constitute the optimized range of hormone from the thyroid. And if you optimize in that way, it can be totally transformational in terms of your health. You may have been within all the relevant ranges before, experiencing lots of negative symptoms of having an underactive thyroid, including hair loss. And then you optimize into that narrower optimum range, and suddenly everything gets so much better in your life. You're not cold anymore. Your hair starts growing in thicker. You have much more energy. Your digestion is way better. You're not constipated anymore. So that's what I would recommend testing for sure if you are dealing with low thyroid function. Oh, Pobs, good to see you. Hey, man, I hope you're doing great. Sending lots of love to you and your family. All right. Thank you guys all for joining the fun today. If anybody has any questions, shoot them down in the comments. We're going through as many of these as we can today in this beautiful, just absolutely perfect Southern California weather afternoon. It's magical out here. Okay, the next question is, I keep hearing about American ginseng. Why is this called American? And what is the difference between this and other ginsengs? Which would help me more? So American ginseng is grown in the eastern part of the United States throughout much of Appalachia. And actually going back into history, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson had American ginseng growing on their farms. And
That
this
explains a couple of things.
this was not traditionally used in traditional Chinese herbalism because they didn't have it. But there were around these times a lot of Chinese doing commerce with the US, and the people I mentioned, like Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, and Daniel Boone as well, made tons of money exporting American ginseng to China. And still, the vast majority of ginseng grown in America, this American ginseng, is being exported to China, which is unfortunate because I really wish people here would realize what a great thing we have on our hands and we shouldn't just be sending it off. But in any case, this is different from a Korean ginseng or a Panax ginseng, as it would also be called, because Panax ginseng is way more fiery, as they would traditionally talk about it. Panax ginseng is very hot, very young. It's going to be quite stimulating and drive you to expend energy. On the other hand, American ginseng is much more cooling. It's more yin. It's much gentler. And so usually the Taoists would say that for something that's more fiery, like the Korean ginseng, you want to wait. You want to wait on this until you are above like 50 years old. This is something you do later in life. When you're younger, you don't need something so fiery. You already should have a good amount of fire going. And so there you can look towards a cooler American ginseng that's not going to bring too much heat along with it. So depending on who you are, what your constitution is like, whether you tend to be too fiery and then you need American ginseng, or whether you tend to run very cold and or more reserved and not so high on energy, then you might look more towards a Korean ginseng. And watch out for the North Korean ginseng, because one, it's North Korean, so kind of questionable there. But the funny thing is, most North Korean ginseng that's sold internationally in the US is fake. So watch out for that stuff. It's the most expensive. It's the best. They have like this family that goes back with their proprietary way of extracting and preparing it. So genuine North Korean red ginseng is kind of the best in the world, but almost all of it out there is actually fake. Okay, next question is, I keep having dental challenges and I heard that there is a way to heal cavities. Is that true? And what is your opinion on doing it? Yes, to a degree. So I would encourage you to go watch my interview clip on YouTube with Dr. Sanda Moldovan. And we talked about this and the way that if a cavity has only progressed to a certain point, it is not super big or super deep, it is possible to remineralize and heal that cavity and never have to go to the point of having a filling. You got to catch it early though, so that's very key. And then you have to eliminate the bacteria there, so a proper cleaning can help in that regard. And then using a toothpaste with hydroxyapatite can help to remineralize that area. That in combination with having great vitamin D3 levels, and maybe you're out in the sun in the summer getting great vitamin D, but maybe you also want to think about supplementing with the D3 K2 supplement. The K2 being in there to make sure that the calcium that you are going to absorb at a higher rate because of the D3 is actually driven to your bones and your teeth and doesn't end up in places that you don't want it, like in your heart. And so that is basically the pathway there. And the hydroxyapatite is a very similar material to what our teeth are actually made out of. And so it's able to help to remineralize on a surface level there. Okay, next question is, I like both of your pink flower adaptogens, Roselle and Shizandra. Ah, yeah, we were talking about those a bit earlier. What is the difference between them and which one is better for beauty benefits? So apart from the color, they don't have a whole lot of overlap benefit-wise. I would say Roselle is more of cooling. It's more hydrating. It's more for cholesterol focused and blood pressure focused. Whereas Shazandra is a little bit more elite, to be frank. It's a 3-treasure tonic herb building your Jing, your core kidney adrenal energy, your Qi, your moment-to-moment active energy, and your Shen. This is your higher spiritual self. It's a Jing locking herb, meaning it helps stop you from stressing too much and expending too much energy. It's a stage 1 and 2 liver cleansing herb, and it is also a great beautifying herb supporting skin health and collagen production. Okay, next question is, I have pretty dry skin. Are there any herbs to intake or use topically or food I can eat to hydrate the skin inside out? On a food side, I would say aloe vera, great one to incorporate here. Get into doing, maybe 1 or 2 whole aloe leaves a week. This is, I would say, probably the most hydrating food that you're going to find. And then also, in terms of the herbal side of things, Shazandra is great, very good for skin dryness. But more than that, I would highly recommend tremella mushroom. This one, it has such a neutral flavor, so it's easy to add just about anything. It is going to really cream up whatever you put into. So if you're drinking coffee, blend some of that in there with a little, hand blender that you can put into your coffee. And tremella is improving hyaluronic acid. So this is improving the moisture and elasticity of your skin. And it's famous going back hundreds and hundreds of years because supposedly one of the most famous beauties of ancient China, named Yang Guifei, would consume this on a daily basis and attributed her radiant beauty to daily consumption of tremella mushroom. So if you're going to do one thing for dry skin, I would say add tremella mushroom into your protocol. And it's funny you mentioned topically, because this is also starting to be used a lot more in topical products as well. So that's really cool to see. Do I have any strong opinions on consuming collagen peptides? I'm very pro collagen peptides. I had 2 tablespoons of them with my mushroom drink this morning. And so you want to make sure that it's quality, right? You want to make sure it's coming from grass-fed beef, and you want to make sure it's one that is very low in heavy metals. One of the lowest in heavy metals is the one that we get is from Thrive Market. I have no association with them. They don't even know that I exist. But it's ranked as one of the cleanest of all collagen products out there on the market. And it's great for supporting the health of your connective tissues. And it has a unique makeup of amino acids that is hard to come by in other foods, but that is going to be very beneficial for things like its content of glutamine and its content of glycine and lysine. So these are all things that are great for the strength and integrity of not just your connective tissues and muscles throughout your body, but also for your skin, and helps with stress, helps with gut health. So I am very pro collagen peptides. All right. Then let's see here. What is the difference between near, mid, and far infrared light? Which one would you use the most often? So within the infrared spectrum, and this sits, as you think about the rainbow of light, on one end you have red, and on the other end you have violet. If we go on the violet side, you go just outside the visible spectrum, you end up with ultraviolet. If you go just outside the visible spectrum on the red side, you end up with infrared. And so within that range of infrared, you have near infrared, mid infrared, and far infrared. So far infrared actually penetrates the shallowest. Far infrared is going to get absorbed pretty quickly by the high level of water content that you have in your tissues. The result of that is it's going to heat your body up the most compared to these other ones. It's going to drive the most thermogenic response in terms of elevating your core body temperature, and through the conduction of that heat and through increased circulation, that heat is going to get carried deeper into your body. So it's not just a surface level heat, but it's really going to do a lot of work to drive up your whole body temperature. And so many benefits come as a result from that, and from the production of heat shock proteins that you get from this. And so this is probably one of the most impactful for driving all the kind of benefits that come from increased core body temperature, whether that's on the immune front, whether that's on the cellular repair front from the protein refolding that can happen to slow down the aging process and help with the misfolding of proteins that happen as we go through life, or whether you're looking at the athletic benefits of training yourself to adapt to the heat more. And then you have mid-infrared, which penetrates a little bit deeper. It's most beneficial for vascular health and the health of your veins. Then you have near-infrared, penetrates the deepest, but has the least impact on increasing core temperature. But it has lots of benefits for mitochondrial health. And mitochondria are what make the energy for all the cells in your body. So the mitochondria are these power plants. And when you give the cells in your body more energy, kind of whatever their job is, they're going to tend to do it a lot better. So near infrared, also very powerful. So which you should use the most of depends on the health benefits that you're going for. Personally, I enjoy using an infrared sauna that incorporates all of them. And it just depends on context. If you are in a setting where you don't want to be sweating, perhaps near infrared is going to be better because you're not going to drive up your core body temperature quite as aggressively as you would with a far infrared wavelength. All right, and then a connected question to that, why are people more interested in infrared saunas than regular saunas lately, especially when they buy it for their own home? I live in an apartment and really would like to get one for a health issue. I was diagnosed with heavy metal toxicity. Oh, these are great questions. Okay. So with the saunas, if you're doing a traditional sauna in your home, it's a little bit more complicated because you're dealing with higher levels of humidity that you have to have special ventilation for and can possibly raise risk of mold issues in the home. You have to have really a pretty special enclosure built for these higher temperatures. And not everybody really enjoys temperatures in the 170s, 180s as much. It can be a bit intense. In a traditional sauna, you need air temperatures to be a lot higher because hot air doesn't transmit heat to the body that effectively. When you look at, say, putting your hand in an oven, the oven could be 350, 400 degrees, and it's not that bad. It doesn't hurt. It's hot, but it's not that big of a deal until you accidentally touch metal inside the oven, which transmits heat very effectively, and then you got a real problem on your hands. Infrared only loses a small percent of its energy to heating the air, and much more of that is going to be penetrating your tissue directly, driving up that core body temperature. So you're able, without the water that's thrown on the rocks in a traditional sauna and without the building complexities of a traditional sauna, to drive core body temperature increase with an infrared sauna. And also you're getting some different benefits from these infrared wavelengths, like we mentioned, the near infrared and how it affects the mitochondria, and the circulation benefits from the far infrared that you wouldn't necessarily see as much of in a traditional sauna where you're just working with hot air. All right. Why is pine pollen good for women? I know it's good for men, but I'm not sure, is it good for women too? Yes, women can absolutely enjoy pine pollen. Sometimes it gets overlooked by women because we talk about it a lot as, oh, being this rare source of bioidentical testosterone. But it also has things in there like DHEA, androstenedione that are beneficial for everybody. And testosterone is beneficial for everybody. Testosterone is super important for women. You certainly don't need it on the level that a man does, but you still need it. It's super important for your overall energy, drive, well-being, both like physical and mental energy. So testosterone is super important for women, and many women these days, just like men, are experiencing low testosterone, and it goes very under-discussed, I would say, with women. Like, it's become a part of the mainstream conversation that men are experiencing low testosterone these days, but very few women are having the conversation of what their testosterone levels are and what it would be like to optimize those and how that would change their day-to-day experience. So I think as a woman, pine pollen can be a great superfood for you. And I also would encourage women to speak with their functional medicine doctor about seeing where their hormones are at, including testosterone, because maybe you can optimize it and your life experience would be richer for it. All right. Next question is, we got one coming in from Adrian here. What's up, Sage? Anything about vanilla? I'm starting my own extract, but I've never thought about the effects of it before. Yeah, so vanilla, of course, is very antioxidant rich. It's become crazy expensive in recent years. I remember in the early days of our chocolate making, we used to have vanilla in our chocolate recipe. And then a lot of stuff happened with the situation in Madagascar that the worldwide supply of vanilla just went way down and the price went crazy high up. And so we decided, okay, we don't need vanilla in our chocolate that bad when the prices have gone up like 40x. But with vanilla, you do get really nice anti-inflammatory effects. So it can help bring down inflammation throughout your system. It's a great mood enhancer. Just smell vanilla and already like, wow, it's got that really sexy aroma to it that just enhances your whole life experience for a few minutes there. It's also helpful with digestion. It's antibacterial, and it's just overall a decent source of vitamins and minerals. And some people have said that they find it helpful for acne as well, because it can have these antibacterial effects, as I mentioned. It could even be a nootropic, like a cognitive enhancer, because it can benefit cognitive performance and memory in some early stage studies. It can help reduce sugar cravings, and it can help with weight management in that regard. And some people have even found it to be beneficial in respiratory conditions, things like with colds and respiratory issues like seasonal allergies or asthma. And just overall, it's going to enhance the flavor of everything. So it's such a nice addition. You're making me kind of miss having it in our chocolate right now. And it may also help in supporting hormone balance. So vanilla is very cool, very expensive these days, but it's still a pretty magical thing. Maybe we have to make some vanilla ice cream later. All right. So let's see. Do we have any more questions coming here? I think we're just about reaching the end. Okay. Guys, this has been awesome. You have like 30 seconds now. If there is a last minute question that you want to send in, I hope everybody out there is going to give our new chocolate formulations a try. It is, to me, like so much better than the originals. You would think that I would still be showing love to the original formulation, but now when I try one of the new ones, every time I bite into a piece, it's like, wow, this is amazing. And you would think I'm just hyping up kind of my own stuff here, but I'm not. This is just, I genuinely am so psyched about our new chocolate formula, and I can't wait for everybody to try it. Whether you tried the original or not, give our new chocolate a try, because it is just one level up even higher. All right. Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure as always. Hope you have a great evening, and I look forward to seeing you all again next time. Yeah, I was already wrapping up. That's all right.